Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we pull out the key ideas from some really fascinating sources and, well, we tailor it just for you.
That's right. And today we're jumping into the world of artist Bob Camblin.
We are. We've got two main sources. The Camblin Retrospective, 1956-1993, will be focusing a bit on 1981 and a specific artwork called Cuidado.
And also a collection of his own words, quotes from Bob Camblin, really gives you insight into his thinking.
Exactly. So if you're someone who wants to get knowledgeable fast, loves those aha moments, but maybe wants to avoid feeling buried in information, this is for you.
Yeah, think of it as understanding a really compelling artist and his ideas without, the overwhelm.
Our mission then is to explore Camlin's way of making art, the big themes he tackles, and just his unique perspective on things.
All through these specific sources.
Okay, let's get started. How about we begin with that 1981 drawing, Cuidado?
A good place to start, Cuidado. The retrospective actually tells us the title translates from Spanish.
Right, it means careful or warning.
Exactly. And what's really interesting right away is how Camblin uses his titles. They aren't just names.
No, the retrospective says they considerably deepen or modify the perception and understanding of the picture. So it's like a clue up front.
It guides how you should look, almost sets a mental stage before you even fully process the image. It puts you on alert, in a way.
And the image itself in Cuidado is pretty striking. It's a skull, rendered very starkly.
Yeah, classic Vanitas symbol, right, that reminder of mortality.
Definitely.
But it feels different here. It's not just the skull. Look at the background. It's kind of obscure textured. And the light and shadow.
Yeah, it's subtle.
The retrospective mentions his Vanitas pieces often present a death's head initially. But here, it feels like there's more going on. Like the universe around it is only revealing itself slowly.
Which fits with what the source says about him, that he does not like to give everything away immediately.
Precisely. And that connects straight back to the title, Cuidado. Be careful. Look closer. Pay attention because it's not all obvious.
It's like the word itself is a key, prompting that heightened awareness.
Absolutely. And this seems core to his whole method. The retrospective describes his pictures as being constructed like devices for ensnaring the viewer's attention.
Ensnaring? That's a strong word.
It is. His goal isn't just to show you something. It's to, and I'm quoting here, fascinate the viewer and persuade him to adventure further and further into the terra incognita of speculative experience.
Wow. So Cuidado, with its warning and its slowly revealed image, is that first step, that hook into the unknown territory.
That's how I read it, yeah. It grabs you and it invites you into that deeper, more speculative way of looking.
And even though this specific piece, Cuidado, is a drawing, the retrospective talks about his paintings having a delicate chromatic treatment and sophistication of his optical pitfalls.
Right, and you can almost sense a parallel here, can't you? Even in black and white, the way the lines work, the shading, there's a depth, an illusion.
Those optical pitfalls, like visual tricks maybe? Subtle illusions.
Could be. It creates that sense of visual intrigue, what the retrospective calls illusion and deception. It makes you question what you're seeing.
So it's all part of leading us, as the text says, into a poetic continent in which words and figures unite to set up stratagems from the other side of the pictorial mirror.
Exactly. It's like the art is actively playing with your perception, drawing you through the looking glass, so to speak, using both the image and the title as part of its strategy.
It's worth noting, too, that 1981, when he made Cuidado, sounds like a really significant time for him. The retrospective mentions exhibitions, travel. He was even using pseudonyms.
Yeah, it feels like a period where he was really deeply engaged with these kinds of themes. Perception, hidden meanings, maybe identity, too.
So this drawing isn't just presenting an image, is it? It's posing a kind of quiet challenge, hinting at the secret of their language, but never really revealing it.
Asking us to be careful in how we look, to be attentive.
Which feels like a great point to bring in some of his own words. Let's see how his quotes expand on these ideas.
Definitely. His quotes really open up the thinking behind the art, behind pieces like Cuidado, and that theme of mortality, the skull. It echoes in his writing, too.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, there's this one quote, "Fortunately, some things remain forever, or another 10 years perhaps. You feel that sharp sense of time, of impermanence."
Ah, right. A sort of wry observation on forever.
Exactly. And another one, "Bright day, and I soar, how cruel that my soul is attached to this earth, and yet..." That really captures attention, doesn't it? Between aspiration, the soul soaring, and the physical reality.
The pull between the transcendent and the earthly.
And he finds meaning in unexpected pairings, like this quote, "Look into the atom, you get what you need. Look into magic, and you get what you need." Philosophy and art are in both.
So, science and magic, both holding keys, with art and philosophy bridging them. That's interesting.
It suggests you don't have to choose between the rational and the mystical to find understanding. They both offer something essential.
And this really seems to connect back to how we, as viewers, need to engage with his work, right? Like Cuidado demanding we look carefully.
Absolutely. His quotes reinforce this idea of active participation. Think about this one. Step off the train of thought. To find the power that is no power. To do the work that is not work. To laugh the true laugh. Bending is not bowing.
Hmm. That sounds like a call to break out of habitual thinking, to find a different way of being or seeing.
It does, doesn't it? And value intuition, perhaps?
Yeah.
Like in the quote, when you think, don't act. When you act, don't think.
Suggesting a balance between
Yeah.
the intellect and just doing or feeling.
Maybe. Or maybe recognizing their different modes.
Yeah.
And then there's this really striking line. The painted eye sees more than mine, and God damn it, I see nothing yet.
Wow. That hints at the limits of our own seeing, doesn't it? And maybe art's potential to show us more, or show us what we're missing.
Exactly. That yet is crucial. There's always more to see, more to understand. It makes you think about what he saw as the purpose of art.
And he actually talks about that. He says, art is not just images. Art for art's sake has become art for life's sake, or art for my sake, or art for survival's sake.
So for him, it's clearly not just about aesthetics. It's fundamental. It's tied to life, to survival even.
So for you listening, trying to get the core idea, this isn't art as mere decoration. It's something much deeper, much more essential to experience.
Yes. It seems like a tool for navigating existence, for understanding. And look at this quote. Resist and submit, held in perfect balance.
Mm,
That sounds like a way of grappling with complexity, doesn't it? Holding opposing ideas together.
like holding paradox.
Maybe. And he contrasts belief and knowledge. Believing and knowing are different. Mystics know something else. They have been somewhere, and logic won't make the trip. One must look for the balance of intuition and logic.
That really emphasizes experience, doesn't it? Something beyond just intellectual understanding. Intuition balanced with logic.
Which ties back beautifully to how you experience his art. It's not just something to analyze, it's something to feel, to intuit.
And this quote feels so connected to Cuidado and that idea of careful looking. The real seeing has its own property of deception. It becomes a whirlpool of relationships. Art is the partial retention.
Whoa. Okay, unpack that a bit. Real seeing is deceptive.
Yeah, it's like our perception itself isn't straightforward. It's a whirlpool, and art can only capture a piece of that complexity, a partial retention.
So what we see is never the whole story. And art tries to hold on to just a fragment of that shifting reality. That's quite a thought.
It is. And he comments on the artist's position in all this, too. The artist today is the only free agent. He is not committed except so much as he desires it.
A strong statement about artistic freedom, about autonomy.
And he seems to summarize his own approach. Draw, teach, search, reveal, always framed in paradox.
Paradox again, that seems key. And he knew it wasn't easy. He mentions the challenge of making intimate, unique work in a time of, well, he calls it consumer art.
Right, he says making something that won't be dismissed by superficial perusal puts him in a bind. He's aware of the struggle for depth in a fast-paced culture.
Definitely. That tension between the personal and the public, the deep and the easily consumed, and underpinning it all seems to be this embrace of ambiguity, of the gray areas.
How so?
Well, there's this amazing quote, "I will stick with common sense and try for the perfectly average view. I think that will let me enjoy miracles on both sides of science and magic, the nuances of the smear between the whiteness and the blackness." He wants to be in that smear, that space between.
Hoping for an intensely bright gray when they meet. That's a fantastic image. Not black or white, but a vibrant gray.
And he calls for a fresh eye. One must go back to the unknown and naive approach to art. We have been seduced by history, critics, and a very affluent but weird culture.
A call to shed preconceptions. And his advice is pretty unconventional, too. Learn to fail, learn to relax, learn to feel, learn how to really think.
Which feels like a very Camblin-esque way to sum things up. It's multifaceted challenges convention.
So bringing this all together for you, our listener, it really feels like Cuidado pulls so many of these threads together.
It really does.
You've got the skull, that image of mortality, which clearly echoes his thoughts on time and impermanence.
And the way it makes you look carefully, actively, that connects directly to his quotes about engaging beyond the surface, about the limits of seeing.
And the meaning unfolding slowly, that resonance with him not wanting to give it all away, and that idea of seeing being deceptive.
Absolutely. And the title, working with the image, that poetic continent where words and figures interact, it's all there.
So Camblin's work, seen through Cuidado and his own words, it's not passive. It demands something from you.
Right. It invites contemplation, active interpretation, that goal to ensnare the viewer's attention. It's not just a trick. It's about prompting you to explore these really big questions: life, death, seeing, art itself.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive into Bob Camblin, we've explored his 1981 drawing Cuidado and dug into his quotes. We've seen this fascination with mortality, the active role he gives the viewer.
His belief in art as a way to engage more deeply with reality, his comfort with paradox, and just his unique view on being an artist.
And Cuidado, made during that key period, seems to capture so much of that. It's a really potent image embodying his core concerns.
It really is. And maybe this leaves you with something to think about. Camblin stressed careful observation, questioning things. How could you maybe apply that Cuidado principle, that carefulness, to all the information rushing at you daily?
Is there a Cuidado for knowledge itself, a way to look deeper, more critically?
Or maybe think about his terra incognita of speculative experience. After hearing about Camblin, what unknown territories, what personal unknown lands in your own thinking or seeing might you feel curious to explore now?